In fact, Article 6 of the 1787 Constitution requires that all public officials, at whatever the level of government, take an oath of loyalty to the Constitution. And of course, the Constitution specifies the very words of the oath to be taken by a president who solemnly swears to the best of my ability to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. It would be surprising if many listeners of this book have not themselves at one point or another in their lives taken such an oath. The problem is that Americans scarcely agree on what exactly counts as faithful compliance with the solemn oath, sworn by many in the name of God. Indeed, the military oath quoted earlier continues with the promise that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice, so help me God. But what does this mean that all orders, even those that might be regarded as manifestly illegal under the Code of Military Justice itself, are to be obeyed? Consider in this context the statement by the Joint Chiefs of Staff in 2020 that their loyalty was to the Constitution and not to President Trump, which for many carried the implication that they would refuse to obey what they considered to be unlawful orders given by the ostensible chief executive and commander-in-chief. Philosophers often refer to essentially contested concepts, by which they refer to particular notions that carry a positive valence, think of democracy, justice, or non-discrimination, but are nonetheless subject to multiple and often conflicting interpretations. Not surprisingly, people can get especially angry if one suggests that their notion of one of these concepts is fatally flawed. So it is with the term of what might be called constitutional fidelity. One might agree that it is very important, and then discover that there are very different notions of the term. It is well to recall that Southern secessionists in 1860 to 1861 claimed to be faithful to the true Constitution that they argued, wrongly no doubt in the eyes of most of us, was being violated by their adversaries, including Abraham Lincoln. Jefferson Davis and Robert E. Lee, both graduates of West Point who had taken vows of constitutional fidelity, did not view themselves as traitors waging war against the Constitution. Abraham Lincoln obviously had a very different view, and 750,000 Americans died in the ensuing dispute over what constitutional fidelity really meant. Perhaps this only underscores the reality that what might be called intra-family disputes, including those within the American family, are often the most acrimonious of all. Goldstein is not writing a book about abstract jurisprudential issues, however. Instead, he notes several especially virulent forms that constitutional nationalism has taken throughout our history, and then extends the discussion, quite literally, into the present moment. He wrote the introduction to his book after January 6, 2021, when an insurrectionist mob stormed the Capitol and invaded the chambers of the United States Senate, acting, they proclaimed, in defense of the Constitution. There is nothing academic about such assertions and disputes. Throughout our history, people have died, and the survival of the nation has been put at risk by those advocating radically different interpretations of what constitutional fidelity requires. As with certain Thanksgiving dinners where one desperately wishes to ignore and otherwise deny the reality of cantankerous uncles or cousins, or perhaps even one's siblings and parents, it is important to realize that the American family does indeed contain multitudes, and not all of them are attractive in any way. Goldstein emphasizes those groups that have viewed true Americanism and the Constitution through the lens of ascriptive identity. As argued 2 decades ago by the political theorist Rogers Smith, the idea, much embraced by Obama, that the Constitution, and therefore American identity, consists of a group of abstract and basically universal values, sometimes labeled